Hey guys, welcome back. So we recently bent up one of our front tubes for our cage, but it didn't fit correctly, and it's because our measurements were wrong. These are, yeah, this is what we used last time, and where we really went wrong was on these bends. I totally messed up, or these are rotations, not bends. The bottom number is the bend, so this is how much you bend it with the bender, but this is how much you rotate the pipe before you clamp it and do the bend. And I got these numbers, basically I mirrored them, which is not a big deal, it just fits the other side of the car, but the magnitude was way off, so it didn't actually like follow the contours. So what's bad is I had actually 3D modeled, not this one, but this. I'd modeled it, so I thought I had it, but essentially, for those of you that, I'm not an expert at this, but basically there's like Cartesian coordinates and there's polar, and then there's like 3D polar. And I didn't convert stuff basically, or do it right. So that was a problem. And I couldn't find a good way to do it in software to figure this out. So what I ended up doing, you have essentially these three pieces here are in a plane, like they're flat. It's kind of hard to show, but these all line up on the same plane. And then this bend has a rotation, and I couldn't figure out what these actually were. You would think you could in software, but I couldn't figure it out. So what I did was I just built an assembly using, I knew what the bend radius was, I just didn't know the rotation, so I built all of this, and I essentially put in here, I'll show you, I built two models. So one of them, let's see, this one, this is the original. This is just, when I put in my Cartesian coordinates and built the piece, this is correct. And then the second one I did is this one, where I put the bends in straight. So at first, when you look at this, it was in a straight plane. And then, if you'll note, when you zoom in, you see these lines. This allowed me to go in and rotate these, and I could measure what that distance was. So what happens, when I turn this on, if you notice, these two pieces perfectly overlap, or pretty much perfectly overlap. It's hard to tell, like, if I turn this one off, it's like there's one, so there's none of them, here's one. Watch what happens when I turn, see if I put my mouse over it, it lights up, it's putting another tube there, like I could switch these. See what I mean? So these are overlapping, and because I did it this way, I was able to just play with the numbers, like, hey, rotate it 10 degrees, 12 degrees, 15 degrees, 15 and a half degrees, whatever. And I finally figured out what these rotations were. So just to show you my success, this one is 180 minus 163, so 17. This other one, negative 57.8, which I don't remember what that's from. I think it was off of 90. Let's see. Yeah, 90. 90 minus that number, so 32.2. Now what's important, I don't know, I'm just gonna do it this way. I don't feel like guessing anymore. But this number is not the pipe at the beginning. This is the pipe rotation relative to the bend before it. So like when you're in the model, that number, let me close that. When you were lined up on this pipe, man, I better go check that. Yeah, I guess I better check that before I go screw this up again, but I think that's how that was. Yeah, actually I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video, but we'll assume that that's right, but I'm actually gonna go check that number is actually what that is, because it needs to be the angle relative to the last bend, which is here. So I think it is. Basically I should swing this back and it should say 180, and then when you swing it over here, or whatever, or 90, whatever it was, I'll double check that just to be sure, but that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be relative to the last straight, which means I can't leave the dial on the tail the whole time. At least I'm not sure. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna do it this way, because at least here I know if I do it that way, it'll work. So anyway, sorry that took 4 minutes to explain, but man, this has been like the bane of my existence lately, trying to figure out how to do this 3D bend stuff. So I think we got it, and we're gonna try this. Hey guys, welcome back. So in about 20 seconds I'm gonna show you the result, but we just followed our paper. So we had wrote this out, essentially the same thing as last time, but we bumped up these numbers on our rotates. This was some low number, it's now 17. That's 32 relative to the last one, so you have to go backwards. So it actually ended up being like 15 point something. And if you look, I put in parentheses each one of these We actually hit 1035. Nailed it. Nailed it. That was like really, really close. Forgot to put these because I got excited. But we basically nailed it. So come check this out. So there's two here. The one closest to us, that's the one we screwed up. Let's see if I can still film this. So the other one is the one we just bent. And what I did, the copper is our template that we had made. And I just set the copper on top of it. And if we did it right, then they should be, mostly touching everywhere. And look at that, it is really close. So you can see, it looks real close. I'm pretty happy. That turned out nice. And like you saw from the dimensions, our execution on this was pretty good as well. Everything's really close to what it was designed to be, is how it was actually manufactured. So we're not quite ready. So the next steps, let's see. So this end, I gotta go do I can't remember, it's been a while. But both of these ends are too long, so it's not gonna fit in the car the way it is now. This side has to be notched to plug into the main hoop. This end is just kind of cut off, but it's at a 10-degree angle, which you could cut that straight and you could probably weld it, but we'll try to get that right. But this one gets notched and welded, and it's right at the top of the hoop, so we want to make sure that's good. So we still got to figure that out. So we're going to go look into that, but overall this is a good sign. I guess perhaps what I haven't said yet that is hopefully obvious, I figured out the math, or well, actually I didn't figure it out. I just modeled it and rotated all the parts until it lined up. But that did work. That got us good results. So now we have a method to take Cartesian coordinates inside of a car, or to bend a piece of copper, measure Cartesian coordinates off of it, and then get it in software and actually get our rotations for everything. So looking good. Very, very excited right now. Man, I've actually been kind of hesitant to build the second one, or to try again, just because the last one was wrong and it made me sad. So you can see it's a mirror image, because the first one we did it was wrong. I made that one for the wrong side of the car, so this time I flipped everything and now it should fit the passenger side like I wanted. So cool stuff. We are going to go figure out how to do the notching and cutting, and then we'll stick it in the car and see how we did.